the way they want it. Because we can no longer take it anymore. We can't be in a country whereby there is no security, economy is not working, nothing is moving on. It's all about crisis, problem, killings. This government has failed us. Whoever that is patrolling himself in that Asara claiming is the Muhammadu Buhari that we used to know. It's unfortunate he's not the one. In as much as when he left Nigeria before, I was still a very young child. But then, history will always tell that he is a strong man. He's a man of his words. If I thought he's the one there, I don't think that all these things will be happening. A lot of things is going on. Everything is going wrong in this country. Everything is going wrong. And they want to silence everybody not to talk. They want to silence everybody not to speak on the issues of ground. I mean, you guys should try and bring peace to this country in the sense that divide this country. Divide it. Yes, we are saying it, because if there's no division, there will always be problem. There will always be problem. Things are going out of hand. Since the days of Abakari, even the present person that they said he is our president, he looks more like, even his face doesn't even look like the present one who was there before the death of Abakari. This one has a different look. I mean, you guys are you people not seeing all this packaging, all these things you're doing? Why are you people deceiving yourselves? You just take Nigerians to be fools because nobody is talking. And even if you think with all these things...
This opportunity to say a word on the recent genuine concerns and agitations by Nigerians about the excessive use of force and in some cases extrajudicial killings and wrongful conduct by means of the Nigerian police force. The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reform in order to ensure that the primary duty of the police and other law enforcement agencies remains the protection of lives and livelihoods of our people. We will also ensure that all those responsible for misconduct or wrongful acts are brought to justice. We also deeply regret the loss of life of the young man in Oyo State during the recent demonstrations. I have directed that the circumstances of his death should be thoroughly investigated. Meanwhile, it is important to recognize that the vast majority of men and women of the police force are hardworking and diligent in performing their duties. The few bad eggs should not be allowed to tarnish the image and reputation of the force. The choice to demonstrate peacefully is a fundamental right of citizens.
This right to protest, President Muhammadu Buhari, however, emphasized, also imposes on the demonstrators the responsibility to respect the rights of other citizens and the necessity to operate within the law. As a democratic government, he said the federal government listened to and carefully evaluated the 5 points demand of the protesters, as a result of which SARS was immediately scrapped and measures put in place towards addressing the other demands.
The promptness with which we have acted seemed to have been misconstrued as a sign of weakness and twisted by some for their selfish, unpatriotic interests. The result of this is clear to all observers. Human lives have been lost, acts of sexual violence have been reported. 2 major correctional facilities were attacked and convicts freed. Public and private properties completely destroyed or vandalized. The sanctity of the palace of a peacemaker, the Oba of Lagos, has been violated.
President Buhari described as painful that these acts of lawlessness were executed in the name of ENDSARS protests, saying there's no way whatsoever to connect these bad acts to legitimate expression of grievance of the nation's youth.
The spreading of deliberate falsehood and misinformation through the social media in particular, that this government is oblivious to the pains and plight of the citizens, is a ploy to mislead the unwary within and outside Nigeria into unfair judgment and disruptive behavior. On the contrary, both our deeds and words have shown how committed this administration has been to the well-being and welfare of citizens, even with the steadily dwindling revenues and the added responsibilities and restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic. No Nigerian government in the past has methodically and seriously approached poverty alleviation like we have done.
While reaffirming federal government's commitment to preserving the unity of the country, the president urged the youth to take the path of honor by ending the street protests, as well as resisting attempts by subversive elements to destabilize the country and truncate democracy.
For you to do otherwise will amount to undermining national security and the law and order situation. Under no circumstances will this be tolerated. This government respects and will continue to respect all the democratic rights and civil liberties of the people, but it will not allow anybody or groups to disrupt the peace of our nation. And I call on all Nigerians to go about their normal businesses.
President Buhari, who enjoined security agencies to protect lives and property of all law-abiding citizens, paid tribute to the police personnel who lost their lives in the line of duty. He also used the opportunity to thank members of the international community for their concern about the ongoing developments in Nigeria, saying, however, that they should seek to know all the facts available before either taking a position, rushing to judgment, or making hasty pronouncements. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Life of a Nigerian citizen. Controversies have filled the airwaves and media headlines. Debates on who's to blame or who's not. But I tell you, I'm to blame. You are to blame. Every citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to blame. These innocent citizens came out to protest peacefully, demanding for their constitutional right. But corrupt and demonic, devilish politicians infiltrated their midst through their mercenaries and hijacked the protest, opening fire on 2 police officers, and the response is what we're seeing here today. These bodies lie here lifeless today because we know who these corrupt politicians are, and yet we allow them gallivant freely amongst us with reckless impunity, reckless abandon. They lie here lifeless today because as a government organization and private organization, we see corruption flourishing and we do nothing about it. They lie here lifeless today because of every Nigerian citizen that gather in groups, indoors and outdoors, and argue about the state of the nation, about the corruption in this country, but do nothing about it. They don't even have the BVCs to vote these corrupt politicians out. They lie here lifeless today because of every mosque and every church that gathers their members in thousands and hundreds, week in and week out, and don't even mobilize these people to vote these corrupt politicians out. Use your PVCs. use your PVCs after you pray, because I tell you, you can pray from now till thy kingdom come, but without works, your prayers are dead. Our brothers and sisters feed on wild plants and drink of their own urine so they can quench their thirst from the scorching sun of the Sahara while they cross in search of greener pasture. And above that same Sahara, 35,000 feet above, we have these men.
Hello, Nigerians. It has become necessary for me to address you, having heard from many concerned Nigerians and having concluded a meeting with all the security chiefs. I must warn those who have hijacked and misdirected the initial, genuine, and well-intended protest of some of our youth in parts of the country against the excesses of some members of the now disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. On Monday, 12th October, I acknowledged the genuine concerns and agitations of members of the public regarding the excessive use of force by some members of SARS. The choice to demonstrate peacefully is a fundamental right of citizens as enshrined in Section 40 of our Constitution and other enactments. But this right to protest also imposes on the demonstrators the responsibility to respect the rights of other citizens and the necessity to operate within the law. As a democratic government, we listened to and carefully evaluated the 5-point demands of the protesters. And having accepted them, we immediately scrapped SARS and put measures in place to address the other demands of our youth. On approving the termination of SARS, I already made it clear that it was in line with our commitment to the implementation of extensive police reforms. Sadly, the promptness with which we have acted seemed to have been misconstrued as a sign of weakness and twisted by some for their selfish, unpatriotic interests. The result of this is clear to all observers. Human lives have been lost, acts of sexual violence have been reported, 2 major correctional facilities were attacked and convicts freed, public and private properties completely destroyed or vandalized, the sanctity of the palace of a peacemaker, the Oba of Lagos, has been violated. So-called protesters have invaded an international airport and in the process disrupted the travel plans of fellow Nigerians and our visitors. All this executed in the name of the ENDSARS protests. I am indeed deeply pained that innocent lives have been lost. These tragedies are uncalled for and unnecessary. Certainly, there is no way whatsoever to connect these bad acts to legitimate expression of grievance of the youth of our country. The spreading of deliberate falsehood and misinformation through the social media in particular, that this government is oblivious to the pains and plight of the citizens is a ploy to mislead the unwary within and outside Nigeria into unfair judgment and disruptive behavior. On the contrary, both our deeds and words have shown how committed this administration has been to the well-being and welfare of citizens, even with the steadily dwindling revenues and the added responsibilities and restrictions due to the coronavirus pandemic. Government has put in place measures and initiatives principally targeted at youth, women, and the most vulnerable groups in our society. These included our broad plan to lift 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in the next 10 years. The creation of 75 billion Naira National Youth Investment Fund to provide opportunities for the youth and the micro, small, and medium enterprises survival fund, through which government is A, paying 3 months' salaries of the staff of the 100,000 micro, small, and medium enterprises. B, paying for the registration of 250,000 businesses at the Corporate Affairs Commission. C, giving a grant of 30,000 Naira to 100,000 artisans. And D, guaranteeing market for the products of traders. These are in addition to many other initiatives, such as A, farmer money, B, trader money, C, market money, D, N-Power, E, N-Tech, and F, N-Agro. No Nigerian government in the past has methodically and seriously approached poverty alleviation like we have done. With regards to the welfare of police personnel, the National Salaries, Income and Wages Commission has been directed to expedite action on the finalization of the new salary structure of the members of the police force. The emoluments of other paramilitary services are also being reviewed upwards. In order to underscore the importance of education in preparing youth for the future, this administration has come up with a new salary structure and other incentives for our teachers. Let me, at this point, reaffirm the federal government's commitment to preserving the unity of this country. We will continue to improve good governance and our democratic process, including through sustained engagement. We shall continue to ensure that liberty and freedom, as well as the fundamental rights of all citizens, are protected. But remember that government also has the obligation to protect lives and properties, as well as the right of citizens to go about their daily businesses freely and protected from acts of violence. To our neighbors in particular, and members of the international community, many of whom have expressed concern about the ongoing development in Nigeria, we thank you and urge you all to seek to know all the facts available before taking a position or rushing to judgment and making hasty pronouncements. In the circumstances, I would like to appeal to protesters to note and take advantage of the various well-thought-out initiatives of this administration designed to make their lives better and more meaningful, and resist the temptation of being used by some subversive elements to cause chaos with the aim of truncating our nascent democracy. For you to do otherwise will amount to undermining national security and the law and order situation. Under no circumstances will this be tolerated. I therefore call on our youth to discontinue the street protests and constructively engage government in finding solutions. Your voice has been heard loud and clear, and we are responding. And I call on all Nigerians to go about their normal businesses and enjoin security agencies to protect lives and properties of all law-abiding citizens without doing harm to those they are meant to protect. Let me pay tribute to officers of the Nigeria Police Force who have tragically lost their lives in the line of duty. I would like to thank those state governors, traditional and religious leaders who have appealed for calm and restraint. I also thank youth leaders who have restrained their followers from taking the law into their hands. This government respects and will continue to respect all the democratic rights and civil liberties of the people, but it will not allow anybody or groups to disrupt the peace of our nation. Thank you all. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.